limiter! Hello world, welcome back to Accelerate and welcome to Ben's Mark II Volkswagen Golf GTI with a twist. Yes, as you've seen from the title, this thing is packing a 1.8 turbo engine, and today we are going to take this, my favourite generation of Golf, the Mark II, out on a POV drive. The Mark I Golf GTI is often referred to as the original hot hatch. So the Mark II had some big shoes to fill, and the recipe didn't look great from the beginning. It was bigger and heavier than the Mark I, but fortunately Volkswagen did their thing and still made this the practical, fun hot hatch that we expect from a GTI, and this one is far from standard, as you can see. But first of all, let me tell you a bit about this car. It started off as a 16 valve GTI 1.8, originally coming with about 139 brake horsepower. This now is running a 1.8 AGU, make sure I get this right, turbo engine out of a much more modern Volkswagen to give it that torque punch. 150 horsepower from the factory, but this one, with a few tweaks, it has been dyno proven at 204 brake horsepower and 230 foot-pound of torque in a chassis that weighs a smidgen over a ton. That, to me, is a beautiful recipe, so I cannot wait to get this thing out on the road. And yes, we are going to be hitting some tunnels as well. Oh my... The styling of the Mark II has always been my favourite. Starting with the front end, this is the 1990 generation and is known as the big bumper model, which, as you can see here, is the big bumper at the front. Early editions came with the small bumper. This one is also complete with the plastic arches going all the way around the car, which we'll get to in a sec. The 16 valve model was considered the more special model, very recognisable because of the classic red striping around the edge, and usually a 16 valve badge there, but like I said, this one is far from standard. I want to say, first of all, excuse the state of it, this is Ben's daily at the moment. He's owned it a matter of weeks, and I've caught him at work, so he's just thrown me the keys, so he hasn't had a chance to clean it, so I take responsibility for that. But when you get an opportunity like this, I don't care how dirty it is. Ball Bay A's, these always start a debate. I was having a chat with Ben. I believe these wheels were made for this car. 16 inch, I believe they're 16 by 8, beautifully matched to this car. And it is nice to see, as much as I love a red GTI, seems to be the most common colour. This, I hope you can pick that up on camera. It's got a beautiful green fleck to it. It looks black. It's got the green fleck. We've got the plastic arches going all the way along, giving it that much more aggressive stance, and the classic red GTI badge there to show that it is an original 16 valve. The arches obviously continue all the way to the rear, with the rear big bumper as well, and a lovely, exactly the exhaust I would put on, twin 3-inch rolled out tip. The later tinted rear lights as well. Now, the Golf was always known as the, my God, that's light. You can understand why this car only weighs a ton. That is light. It is a hot hatchback, and that was the beauty of these cars. They were very quick when you put your foot down, but they were practical when you needed them to be. Typical Ben, he's always got tools on him. My camera stuff here, and there's still a load of room. Love that almost period correct JL audio. Amplifier there with a few speakers. Like I said, this is quite modified, but I would say subtly modified. Subtle until you get under the bonnet anyway. Speaking of what's under the bonnet, it's about that time we take a look to see how well this engine fits under this bonnet. Very quickly, I love that they do have a bit of a sense of humour. That design there, the see-through Volkswagen key, I absolutely love that. Well, that took me way longer than it should have. Look how at home that thing sits in there, and you would swear it's factory. So yes, this is the 1.8 AGU variant. There are so many different 20 valve turbo variants. You guys probably know a lot more than me. I am a VAG noob. I still learning, but with a few tweaks, this easily hit 204 brake horsepower on the dyno with a beautiful torque figure of 230 foot-pounds. We do have the strut braces there. That is a chunky bit of metal, the piping and everything. And that giving you the great whoosh noise you want from a turbo car. Moving on to the interior, another classic Golf trait, the door handle behind there and the beautiful click that comes from even this very old 1990 Golf. Door cards, you've got lashings of leather everywhere, and this is actually padded on the door, obviously used as an armrest. And yes, we've got electric mirrors just there, as well as electric windows, no less. And what I like, little details like that, Volkswagen badge just there. As we climb in, we sit in these very, very comfy leather seats. The only thing, one or two things changed in here. We've got an aftermarket boost gauge just there, very handy for any turbo car. But I do like the fact that it's tinted, so it is quite subtle. We are greeted with this very, very 80s looking Volkswagen steering wheel, quite thin compared to more modern cars, and for some reason 4 horn buttons, and also some very 80s dials just there. I love analog dials. I know digital is great, but I am a man who would much prefer my analog readings. I love just watching the needle go around, and in this car, trust me, they do bounce around quite a lot. Odd choice for the headlights there. We've got a button, side light, headlight. Very strange just there, headlight adjustment, and your dash dimmer just there. A few toggles just behind there for the indicators, your wipers. The click, the satisfying click on these, even this many years after. This is why Volkswagen have got the name and the reputation they've got. A couple more switches just there for your defroster and your fogs. We've got your handbrake warning just there. HVAC controls. Again, the click on them is so satisfying. There's just something very solid feeling about everything you come into contact with in this car. As we go down the center console, very classic square air vents there. Nothing too crazy, just very functional, which is very Volkswagen. Window switches just there, electric windows, of course, as I mentioned, and your recirc button just there. 5-speed manual gearbox in this with the push down to get it into reverse. And another little touch I love is the Germans having a bit of a sense of humor. The gear knob is a golf ball, or resembles a golf ball at least. Your conventional handbrake just there, which I much prefer compared to an electric one. I absolutely love these seats, and for such a small car, it is very roomy. And I'm about to do something that always makes me look like a bit of a weirdo. We're going to jump in the back, because I want to soak up every inch of this car and experience every inch of this car. Oh. So the leather obviously continued into the rear, but what I love is the leather is continued onto the side panels as well. That is padded leather, so it's very comfy. And as I said, we are in a very small hatchback. It's very open. I don't feel claustrophobic at all. And the roofline goes a lot further back than you thought, which really helps with that open airness. And a very, very large parcel shelf that will amaze all of you 90s kids like me, or late 80s kids. It's not cut up with 6x9s, which is probably what I would have done back in the day, so props for them not doing that. Climb out of the rear. Get it now. It's not too embarrassing at all, but that's a good walk around of the car. Now we're going to get to the fun part. We're going to take this thing for the drive. Now, I can guarantee that you will not be able to hear that exhaust. This car is so subtle, and I think that's one of the reasons Ben bought it for now as a daily, because even pulling off now, you just absolutely cannot hear it. First impressions. So, as I said, you grab hold of this very, very thin steering wheel compared to more modern cars. Very nice size though, it is quite a large size. Thank you very much. The next thing that strikes you, as soon as you put your foot on the clutch, you realise instantly it is a cable clutch, because it certainly feels like a cable clutch. And for those that have never driven a cable clutch, they do take a bit of getting used to. You just don't get that springy feel that you get from a hydraulic clutch. The feeling does lack slightly, but once you get used to it, I mean, you've got to remember you're in a classic car. It is certainly one of those things you just get used to. I'm going to do something I don't do very often. Shut up and let you enjoy the car for a bit. The handling, even on these budget Accelera tyres, is surprisingly nimble. Once again, going back to the weight, my favourite mod you can do to any car, Oh, my favorite attribute of any car is lightweight. Lightweight helps your acceleration, it helps braking, handling, it just helps every aspect. And this is just that embodied. It is incredible. And now we're going to do my favorite part. Allow me to sing the song of my people. Oh my God. So when I said this thing doesn't make much noise, under boost this thing absolutely comes alive, and I'm glad I've got to show you through a tunnel because the noise is just perfect. Oh my... Oh, the bangs on the limiter! Oh my God, I love this car. So I eased into it then second gear. You could probably hear the wheel spin, and then the bang when it hits the limiter. So then as you're driving around normal like this, oh my God. So I know a lot of the time they say don't meet your heroes, and I'm aware that that is usually the case, or a lot of the time that's the case with cars. Sorry guys, wow. Doing stuff like this just makes me really, really grateful for the people I know. People like Ben, just giving me the keys and I get to experience my dream cars, and I get to bring you guys along just from the generosity of people like Ben and John, who also, we've got an original Mk2 Golf GTI that John has had since brand new, so we're going to be featuring that as well. But I went out of sort of journalism mode then and just ran into absolute child because I am so freaking happy. But I wish I could stress you guys, I adore old cars. I mean, you've got the clutch doesn't give you much feeling. The gears are surprisingly tight, but you have got to give it a bit of a push. But I do not care. The feeling that these cars give you when you're driving them normal is great, but going through that tunnel then, oh, I would absolutely never get bored of that. Just lights up second gear. That torque punch, I went from third gear, oh my God. That torque punch, absolutely, you get very, very, very minimal lag. I imagine the turbo on this is relatively small, but my God, you feel the combination of the torque matched with the lack of weight. Whew. Let's see if we can do some turbo noises. Okay, so I've always wanted a Mark II, but now I really, really want a Mark II, and they're way out of my price range. So Ben, I'm just going to make excuses for videos on this thing because I am absolutely in love. I got sort of high expectations for cars because Kenny and I get to drive a lot of cars, but there's something about older cars, and there is something about this one. I said it similarly to the 205 Rally we did. You just can't explain it unless you drove one, and I really don't want to give this back. I'm fortunate that Ben is my best mate, so I do get to see him quite a lot. I just hope we find some excuses to take this out. But like I said, I'm driving through normal traffic, and at no point has this been uncomfortable, which is surprising because it's so low on stretched tires, low profile. This shouldn't work, but it does. So you can drive it normal, and then you feel a bit naughty, so you put your foot down and absolutely light up the rear wheel and the inside wheel. Oh my God, this thing is a rocket ship. Sorry Ben, I'll save your tires now. I've got my content, I'm happy. That was my first real experience of one of my dream cars, the Mk2 Golf. And as you can probably tell from my reaction, I was a bit worried driving this, to be honest, and because it's not the original engine, I was worried that my hero was going to be ruined. and I was wrong. I absolutely adore this thing. As I said, we have got John's original Mark II Golf GTI. Great story behind that as well. It was his first car. We've got that coming on, and we've just had word from Lee, the boys down in Somerset, that they have a very special Mark I Golf that we will eventually be doing as well. So if you like this kind of content, guys, let me know what you think of the POV. I love doing this, as I think it's the best way to bring you guys along and give you that feeling of what I'm feeling as well with these great opportunities, because I love bringing you guys along. Let me know in the comments, but for now, thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. This definitely didn't go boom, apart from when I hit the limiter in the tunnel.